Okay, well, let's kick things off as we have some fun things to share. First, just need to tell you a couple of things. First of all, I'm Karin Hansen. I'm the Marketing and Communication Manager here. I'll be presenting questions this evening during our time. So if you do have a question you'd like to submit, you can do so by clicking the Q&A button on the bottom of your screen and typing it in to send to us. We'll get to as many of those as we can by 8 o'clock. If you would like to use closed captioning, that is available below. Just click on the live transcript icon and select show subtitle. I also want to acknowledge Maddie, who is here as our ASL interpreter this evening. So thank you to Maddie. We have a few people that you can see on our screen in addition to Maddie. Jeff Johnson, our executive director, will share some information about our latest happenings and upcoming plans. Julianne Larson is joining us to share an exciting announcement about our WAG Center and some other updates about that new addition. Also, we have with us this evening Graduate Services Coordinator Elizabeth Reberk, who will give us a better idea of how we support teams through their partnership. So at this time, I will go behind the scenes and let Jeff take it from here.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Karin, and thank you to Julianne and Elizabeth and Maddie for being on the call tonight, as well as Peter, who is behind the scenes and working late tonight. And we just want to thank you for joining us and your interest and your support for our organization. There's a lot going on here. I'm just going to give you a couple of little snippets and then turn it over to Julianne and Elizabeth to talk for a couple minutes, and then we'll open it back up for questions. A few highlights. As most of you probably know, we purchased a piece of property a few months ago out west of town in New Germany, about 25 miles west of here, where we are now whelping or birthing puppies in preparation for us to build our own puppy center here. And as Karin said, Julianne's going to share some exciting news about that. But I want to say that it's going extremely well. And I also want to add that we had a generous donor just a couple of weeks ago who wants to remain anonymous, who actually paid off the mortgage on that building for us, which is just game-changing over the next few years. So we're thankful for her generosity. We're also thankful for the generosity of so many of you to just step up so that we can continue to do what we do and hopefully serve even more people and change even more lives in the future. So more on the WAG Center in a bit. WAG stands for Whelping and Growth Center. As some of you know, we have remodeled the look of our space here rather dramatically internally to better tell our story to people who don't know who we are, and to also better recognize the importance of our 5 pillars. The 5 pillars of this organization are our clients, our staff, our donors, our dogs, and our volunteers. And so we have spaces around the building now that are dedicated to the importance of those different 5 pillars, and also which will allow us to give tours in a way that bring our story about better. So if you haven't been here, stop by just to see it, because it's pretty cool. Also, we formed a joint board staff committee to start looking more closely at our plans to expand our building on our campus here in New Hope. Our plan is in the next few years to actually double the size of our building. The epicenter of that will be our new puppy center, which will be a whelping center and eventually replace that facility out in New Hope, or out in New Germany, but it will also include new meeting space for us. It'll include new office space, new training space, a couple of new overnight rooms for our clients who are from out of town, and then also kind of an exciting new area that will be more welcoming and I think more effective for volunteers who are either dropping off or picking up dogs or maybe picking up supplies. Right now, it's not ideal, and we recognize that, and we're excited to be able to change that in the future. This fall, we added a second campus to our Fetch program, which is our college program. We've had a partnership with the U of M for years on this, where students actually take dogs and raise them as volunteers for an entire semester. And now River Falls, Wisconsin was added to that group this year. So that's exciting, and it's been going extremely well. And then finally, the last thing I will mention is that one of our facility dogs, Riggs, who is a facility dog at Children's Hospital, was recognized as the hometown hero by the Vikings at the Monday night game in with San Francisco, against San Francisco here at home. And we just think it was a wonderful recognition, not only of Riggs, but of our staff and of our volunteers who actually raised and trained Riggs and is allowing him to change people's lives every single day. Last comment, we have an open house on Saturday from noon to 2 right here on campus. So if you haven't been here to see some of the changes, we really encourage you to stop by even just for a few minutes. Or if you know somebody who doesn't know us yet, please encourage them to do the same. It's a very casual setting where we have clients here with their dogs to talk to people. We've got our volunteer folks here. We've got programs and presentations that are going on, and you can come for 10 minutes or 2 hours. So we really encourage you to stop by if you have a chance this Saturday from noon to 2. And with that, I would like to turn it over to Julianne to just kind of give you all an update on what's happening out in New Germany at our new WAG Center. So Julianne, it's all yours.
Thank you so much, Jeff. And I'm so excited to be here tonight and talk to you all about what's happening out in New Germany, Minnesota at our WAG Center. We, 3 days ago, had our first litter born out here, 7 puppies that are doing great. Their mother, Sasha, is a first-time mom, and she has done an amazing job out here in the WAG Center, adjusting to life as a mother, which, as we all know, can be difficult sometimes, right? Whether it's a mother or a father or a child, we know giving birth and new life is stressful. It's been so exciting to watch this happen in this new facility with staff and volunteers' help. I want to acknowledge right now all of our Whelping Home volunteers who have gotten us to this point in our growth. Without them, we wouldn't be where we are with whelping in our own facility. You know, it was the beginning. First litter, that the purpose-bred litter, was born in 2010. So it's taken a long time to get here. And I appreciate every single volunteer who's been involved in this process. And you all know how difficult and how stressful and time-consuming this can be. But with our new facility, we get to also welcome volunteers in it, along with staff, to help us bring new life into the world. So this first litter is doing fabulous. Mom and babies are doing great. And the exciting news is our second litter is literally in the process of being born right now. So the mom is in stage 1 labor right now. We expect the first puppy to be born within the next few hours. So super exciting news out here. Thank you all for being a part of it, and happy to answer any questions as we go. Thank you. And I think I'm now turning it over to Elizabeth, correct?
Yeah, thanks, Julianne. So I'm Elizabeth Reberk, and I am the Graduate Services Coordinator here at Can Do Canines. This is a new position with our client services, and we're very thankful for the donor who stepped forward last year and fully funded the position, making it possible for us to move forward with improving services for our teams. So I'll just give you kind of a brief overview of what Graduate Services is or is doing. So Graduate Services is the ongoing support for graduates, so teams that have completed certification, graduated, and are living out their partnership together. What we're doing is we're providing ongoing learning opportunities for the teams as they grow together. They might have challenges that come up that weren't in the beginning of their training due to just life situations, or they might forget an aspect of something that they were learning because that new training is so intense and so quick. So there's ongoing learning opportunities for them. We do virtual seminars. We are working on public access renewals to maintain accreditation standings. We're here to support with unexpected health with their assistance dogs that they encounter. If an unwanted behavior creeps in, such as overexcitement at the door or counter surfing, some of those extra doggy behaviors that can show up, we're here to support clients and help them develop the skills they need or address those with their dogs. We have support for ongoing health and fitness of the assistance dogs with both coaching and accountability, supporting parents with school staff training for child clients, so everyone is prepared for the child to bring their assistance dog to school with them. Travel training, retirement and loss support, so really just a full spectrum of the things that teams encounter as they go through a long partnership together. And I am welcoming questions this evening as well.
All right, so I'm going to keep Elizabeth on the screen here. Jeff and Julianne, feel free to take a quick snooze. We'll get right back to you. Elizabeth, about how many graduate teams are you supporting right now?
So Client Services has a little over 375 active status teams right now. So there's quite a lot of them that we're working with at different stages of their partnerships.
Okay, well, that's why you are so busy around here, as we all know. Another question for you right off the bat here is, when does a graduated client switch from their client services coordinator or that original team trainer to you, the graduate service coordinator?
Yeah, so this is a newer position, and how we are trying it out at first is to kind of figure out what's going to work best, right? Because 375 active teams is a lot. Is for their first year, we're keeping those new teams with their original trainer, with their client service coordinator. That way they don't have to go through, a big change right away. Their team trainer knows them best for little tiny hiccups that are coming up. They can still participate in anything that is the broader programming for like the virtual seminars or our coffee with the trainers. We do meet and greet times with the clients at the mall. Things like that. They're welcome to join all of that after they certify. But they're kept with their primary trainer for challenges and stuff that occur within that first year.
Okay, great. I'm going to give you a little breather now, and
Sure.
there's a question for Julianne. Julianne, is the WAG Center staffed 24 hours per day when there are laboring mothers or new litters?
Yes, so anytime we have dogs there, we're going to make sure that they're fully cared for. When we have new litters, and like right now with one of our moms in labor, we have a staff person there as well as an experienced whelping volunteer. So we are fully staffing things as we need to, depending on the stage of life, whether the litter or what dogs we have there. So we do have some wonderful volunteers stepping up, and we had our first overnight volunteer last week that spent the night there, and we have a nice bedroom set up so that they can get some sleep when that's appropriate. Sometimes we have overnight staff or volunteers that it's what we call an awake shift, where you're going to be awake all night long and taking care of mom and babies or helping bring new babies into the world.
One more question on that topic is, do you know approximately how many volunteers have signed up already so far to help out at the WAG Center?
I want to say right now we have, I want to say maybe 34 volunteers that have signed up and are signing up for shifts that are coming up.
Very good. All right, I'm going to move to Jeff now. And Speaking of that Whelping Center, WAG Center, will that new facility be a stress to our operating budget here?
It will not, especially since someone was kind enough to pay off the mortgage. It would have been a stress over the next few years until we paid it off as part of our capital campaign, because it was an unbudgeted expense to have that mortgage. There are other expenses. There are other operating expenses out there that were not budgeted in this budget, but we do believe that we will be fine in covering those, because that was really less than half of what the overall additional expense would have been now that we don't have a mortgage. So we are just we're in a very thankful spot right now that somebody stepped up to do that, and it really does help us to not really have to worry about the overhead out there.
Okay, and another one on that note. It's been mentioned that sometime within the next 5 years, the new Whelping Center in New Hope will be ready. What will happen to that property in New Germany?
So it probably will be quicker than 5 years. I am guessing 4 years, maybe even 3.5 years, but let's say 4 by the time we actually launch a capital campaign and raise the funds we need to build the new building and build it. But once we do that, and once we are operating here, we will sell that property. That's been the plan since day one. When we purchased it, we said we are purchasing this for a period of time, probably around 4 years, and then we will sell it. And we're pretty confident that we will be able to get back out of it what we put into it, maybe even a little bit better, just based upon the part of the state and the Twin Cities that it's in. It's one of the fastest growing areas of the Twin Cities. It's in a great school district. It has a beautiful house on the property. And we believe that we'll be able to recover everything we put in. And now that it's already all paid for, that is money then that we will be able to put towards the capital campaign and probably hopefully pay off whatever it is we build here. That'll kind of be the last piece of the puzzle.
Great. Okay. We're going to go back to Elizabeth. Just going to really keep those attention spans burning tonight. Follow on the different topics. So Elizabeth, one for you here is, how old are Can-Do Canine's assistance dogs when they retire, and do clients get a new dog right away?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we do not have a set retirement age for the dog. It is absolutely a case where we want to take the dog and how they're feeling, how they're doing, the work they're doing, how the partnership is looking, and let the dog be the guide on when they're ready for the age of retirement, or when they're ready for their retirement for service work. So some of them might retire young, 7 or 8 for some reason. Most of them work into their double-digit years. And then we have, actually, that's one of the exciting things we started this past year, is we have a retirement seminar that we host quarterly to talk through the retirement process with clients and the successor process. And I believe that was the second half of the question there, is, do clients get a new dog right away? So the short answer is no. Successor clients do need to apply for the program. They are fast-tracked in the application, and if they still qualify as a client, they are fast-tracked for matching. But our goal is, of course, always to make sure that we know the client with who they are now in this window of their life, right? And that we are still best able to meet their need with one of our trained assistance dogs, and that it can be a good partnership for everyone to continue on in. So there are great aspects built in for successor clients, but we want to make sure that retirement is processed and the timing is right, and we know what the client needs in a new dog versus the dog that's retired.
Okay. Want to send this one your way as well. Has Can-Do Canines ever considered setting up a medical emergency fund to help cover emergency medical costs for assistance dogs?
Yes, and I'm very excited. Got some great news today. That is something that's going to launch in 2024. So we will be starting an emergency care fund to help with client needs in relation to emergent situations. And so there's a great opportunity for donors. So kind of piggybacking on that great news that Jeff had, that the mortgage is paid off for the WAG Center. So here's a great new donating opportunity is for the client emergency care fund.
Yay.
Can,
think we're
can
all
I
happy
add,
I'm
about that.
really excited about that one. So
can I add something to that, Karen?
yeah.
So when we have new clients, we always one of the requirements is that they are able to show that in the event of medical needs for their dogs, that they either would be able to deal with that or they had a support network that could deal with that, which eliminates some people from ever being a client for us, which is really, that's hard for us, but it's just a reality because dogs are not cheap. We all know that, and bad things can happen, and they do. And what we have found is that we do have some clients who are able and tell us that they are able to take care of that and are able to take care of that, but circumstances change or something happens with a dog that's much more than what anybody would have ever imagined. We have seen that this just in the last couple months, where you're talking about a $10,000 or $12,000 expense, which most people cannot plan for. And so we just feel like having a fund in place that is there for truly emergency situations where a dog has a dog has a medical condition that we maybe couldn't foresee, but the client and the client support network just cannot cover it. We want to be able to help with that, both for the good of the dog and for the good of our client. And so we're really excited about this. And we know that I'm not concerned. We know that there will be donors out there who will want to help with this. Hopefully in the next few months, we'll be able to talk to a few people and get it going for January. So this is it's a great step forward for us.
Indeed. All right. Jeff, since you came on, I'll keep you on. Elizabeth, you can catch your breath. Jeff, we tell people sometimes about the new facility dog program, but this person is wondering about our new companion dog program. So can you give an update about that a little bit?
Sure. So when we, about a year and a half ago, we started the facility dog pilot program, which we're going to talk with the board about next month, whether we want to make that permanent or not. And then we also started a new program called Skilled Home Companions. And that is for dogs who want to be assistance dogs, who want to work, who want to help, who have the right personality for it, but something doesn't quite work. They're just not able to be an assistance dog. They might be reactive to other dogs. They might hate to ride in a car. It freaks them out. They just don't like other people or being in public. But in someone's home on their own property, they would be a wonderful skilled home companion, we call it, or an assistance dog without those rights to go to Target and the doctor and church or wherever else. And so we created this new program. And I believe, I checked on this today, I believe that we have placed 2 skilled home companion dogs. And I think we had a 3rd in the works. And then the client actually, when taking that dog out into public, found out that the dog was just fine being out in public. So that dog actually became an assistance dog when we weren't maybe expecting that. And we will continue to place skilled home companions as dogs who otherwise probably wouldn't have been able to become assistance dogs. And they are still then able to work and serve someone, which is what they want to do, as opposed to just being somebody's amazing pet. So it is true that the facility dog program gets a lot of publicity, and that is because where we've placed our facility dogs tend to be larger organizations that can help us raise awareness, like with the Children's Hospital or Children's Masonic or some of the other organizations that we have placed facility dogs with. But that skilled home companion program, even though it's smaller at this point, is just really a cool way to allow dogs to change people's lives, even if they can't quite become an assistance dog.
Okay. Elizabeth, I am going to bring you back on. Someone wants your skills right from here. Got a quick idea for counter surfing issues with one of the dogs.
Yeah, I think right now is probably not the time to answer that question, but definitely encourage you to look at the schedule and see when our next counter surfing seminar is, and also email client services so we can connect you with some support and some answers, because counter surfing, we usually need a little bit of background on what exactly is going on before we can offer tailored advice.
I do want to keep you though and ask, because you do mention that you sometimes have to train brand new skills to graduates that have had their dog for a while. Can you give an example of when you've worked with someone to do that?
Yeah, actually, I can give a current example. So one of our autism clients is working on progressing with some self-care life skills, and the dog was not originally trained for doing like tugs or things like that, but does have the capacity and the willingness to learn it. So we are working on tugs to help tug open dresser drawer and get out clothes for the day, and help tug off mittens for providing a greater level of independence and self-care for that child. So that's a quick example of taking a dog that's been in placement for a couple of years and being able to add some skill work for them, as the team has shown the need for it and the ability to adjust to a new skill being introduced.
Perfect, thanks. All right, Julianne, give you a minute to wake up, join us. All right, we've left you sitting there for a few minutes. All right, yeah. Someone wants to know, does the WAG Center have enough volunteers, or is that a potential challenge?
I mean, we never have enough volunteers, right? So we always want more included and want to share what we do with as many people as we can. It's new, so right now we're doing well. We're just getting these volunteers going, but always looking for more people to get involved. We feel confident that the volunteers that we do have are very engaged and very excited to be part of this. So we're happy with the beginning.
All right, excellent. I'm going to bounce back to Jeff for a minute. All right, Jeff, do you know if any other assistance dog organizations have skilled home companions, or is this unique to Candy Canines?
There are others, although I'm going to see if Julianne might actually have a more specific answer, but I know that we didn't come up with this just out of the blue. There are other organizations. Julianne, do you know, are there many?
I know of at least a few that in some bigger organizations that do skilled home companion type placements. So yes, there are others out there.
Okay, and maybe keep you both on the line for this one as well, because it's going back to talking about having facility dogs. Does that mean that Can Do Canines is going to start doing therapy and emotional support dogs?
And the answer is no, at least not in the foreseeable future. That's something that has come up, more than once before, and we feel that, I mean, there's a very different standard for an assistance dog, and a facility dog is an assistance dog that's actually trained for specific physical skills. That's kind of a different tier, and so while some of our facility dogs actually do therapy work, it's kind of a sidelight for what we've actually trained them for. So we believe that there is plenty of need for what we're already doing, all 5 and probably 6 of these types of dogs, and we won't even be able to keep up with that need. So we don't intend to expand. We do sometimes have clients, or not clients, but people who take a career change dog who didn't become an assistance dog, and they might choose to train that dog on their own to be a therapy dog and bring them into a facility. But again, it's a really different standard. I don't know if Julianne has anything to add to that.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest difference between a facility dog and a therapy dog or an emotional support dog is that there are trained skills on a facility dog. So a therapy dog and an emotional support animal do not necessarily have any trained skills that they provide. They provide more comfort just by their presence. So it's very different. And I therapy dogs and emotional support animals are not what we do.
Okay. Thank you both. We're gonna go back to Elizabeth with one that came in for her. How do you connect with clients who are technology challenged? For instance, those who do not do anything on the computer or smartphone.
Yeah, so clients who are not utilizing technology a lot, we very much make a point to being able to do phone calls. In person, if they're within an area, is of course a lot easier than if they're outside the metro area. That might take us a little bit longer to get to, or we might need to network with a field trainer in their area to help get them the support they need. But we'll call. It does limit some of their involvement with things like our virtual classes. We are encouraging, there's a lot of programs out there for increasing use of technology and opportunities for technology. And so we do encourage it, but we definitely are able to meet needs, even for those who might have some technology limitations or challenges.
Okay, I'm going to keep you here for another question. Dealing with technology, I believe something you do offer online is called Fit and Fabulous. And someone once was asking about those. What are those exactly?
So Fit and Fabulous is a monthly virtual meeting that we develop, and our goal with it is to help support clients with keeping their dogs fit and physically fit, mentally enriched, and giving them ideas for like brain body connection, small space exercise, bowl free feeding to increase like relationship levels and things like that. And so it's a virtual class. We have 3 ideas that we present each meeting, and then we welcome client feedback. Sometimes clients will share ideas with each other on that meeting. So it's in part an education opportunity and accountability. Oh, I'm struggling with that word. An accountability opportunity to just kind of have that check-in each month. And it's very consistently the 4th at 4. So every month, the 4th at 4, we're having that meeting virtually and engaging in some different ideas for fitness and fun with the dogs.
Okay, great. Thank you. We're going to go back to Jeff. We have a couple of money questions.
Yay.
Yay. So the first one is, what is the dollar goal for the capital campaign now that the mortgage was paid off?
We don't know yet. We're still in the kind of the very, very early stages of planning that. If I had to guess, which is always dangerous, but if I had to guess, I would guess it's going to be right around 5, maybe a little more than that, 5.5, 6 tops million. But that's yet to be determined, and we probably won't have a number until early next year. We need to kind of finish the basic plans of the facility. We're in the very, very early stages of that. And then from there, we'll be able to try to put a price on it.
Okay. And then someone is wondering, what would a donor write on the menu line to make sure that money or a donation goes to the emergency fund?
If someone is interested in funding that or helping fund that, if I would say put medical emergency fund down and we'll contact them just to make sure we have it right. But we don't know what we're exactly going to call it, but it'll be something close to that. So yeah, that would be wonderful if someone's interested in helping with that.
Great. Julianne, got one for you here. What happens to retired dogs if the client gets a new dog and can't keep two?
So for a client dog, when they retire a dog, and this happens relatively often where they do utilize an assistance dog daily and they need another fully working dog. Often our clients have a family member that want to adopt the dog as a retired working dog. If they don't have a family member or friend who wants to adopt the dog, we have a long list of people that apply for dogs from us, whether it's a young career change, as we call career change dog, or an older retired dog. So we are always here to help find a loving retirement home for those dogs.
And another one about maybe on the successor line here. Do you ever do successor dogs for autism clients? And can you talk about the age ranges that go along with that?
Yeah, I mean, those successor dogs for autism assist placements are a little trickier. We have done it. Typically, our autism assist dogs, the skills they provide to their clients, a lot of times the children, as they grow, some of the things like the elopement or the running away behavior go away, they outgrow it. So there aren't a lot of autism assist clients that have a need for a full assistance dog later. But when they do, in particular, children who take their dogs to school with them and maybe are then moving on to high school or on to college, we look at every situation on a case-by-case basis of how would a dog fit into this? Are there the skills needed? Again, kind of going back to the therapy dog, emotional support animal difference. Are there skills that we can train a dog that really assist that person in their day-to-day life? So everyone we look at individually and certainly we'll look at every case.
Okay, thanks. Let's go back to Elizabeth. Elizabeth, you mentioned fit and fabulous, but we all know that there are occasions when some of our dogs maybe aren't so fit. So you might have to step in situations like that. And what do you do about those dogs that are having some weight issues?
Yeah, it's a great question. So the first thing we want to do is try to help the client figure out what is causing the weight concern to be occurring. Are there some confusions in regards to food or food management that are contributing? Is there been something that's caused an impact on their ability to exercise the dog? Things like that. So it starts with a one-on-one conversation, and it's a lot of questions. It's a lot of questions. Feels a little bit like interrogating or being interrogated, but really it's just playing detective together to kind of suss out all the different things that are contributing to the dog day to day, and then creating a game plan to help work towards, again, if it's a food related thing, changing some food management or maybe even changing foods, and changing things with exercise to make sure exercise needs are being met. So playing detective together, one-on-one coaching, different ways we can do accountability that help the client stay on track and checking in, and celebrating the successes as we go.
Okay. And Elizabeth, do you think it's possible for Can-Do Canines to ever offer group play dates at the facility for graduate dogs?
I'd say the way our facility is currently, that's not a possibility. It's certainly something that we could bring to conversation table with Jeff and the building committee about, is that something for the future plans of Can Do Canines?
Okay, and another question kind of just on that networking idea there is there a network of that graduates can be a part of for finding dog sitters?
You know, so some of that is happening during conversation with like our clients on an individual level, and it's something that we know is a concern. And I didn't mention it earlier, but one of our new things that is also launching is a client advisory committee that will be working closely with the graduate services and client services to kind of come up with more structured ways to approach concerns like that, so that if there is opportunities for clients to help clients with things like dog sitting or dog walking support or things like that, we're better able to support and facilitate.
Okay, great, thank you. And I want to encourage everybody to keep sending in questions. There have been some really good ones so far, and we have still a few queued up, but go ahead and shoot those our way if you would like to get in on the conversation here a little bit more. Julianne, I'm going to bring you in and ask about the house that's out at the WAG Center. Someone's wondering if that has been spoken for in some way.
Things worked out fabulously out in New Germany at the house. We have a longtime volunteer who is a actual whelping volunteer for us step up and say she was super interested in renting the house with her family. And she has moved in, so she is living there and is also helping at the center. So she's a volunteer as well. So she has been helping with these first litters. She was there with Karen during the first birth out there and helping support that. So Sue has been wonderful and is living there with her son. So it's great.
Fantastic. Yeah. Jeff, I'm going to go back to you with a question about staffing, and in another way, just in general, are we fully staffed, and how is the staff situation currently?
We are fully staffed as of today, but the world that we live in right now, which I don't think is going to change anytime soon, it means that there's going to be turnover. I just think we all unfortunately have to accept that, whether we're a nonprofit or a for-profit company. People move around a lot more than they did 10 and 20 years ago. And frankly, they move around a lot more than they did pre-COVID. So it's just, we live in a different world, and it's something that we have to accept, that there's probably going to be more turnover than what we'd ideally like. And so we've had some in the last few months. I think we've had maybe 4 different employees leave, great employees. They left for positive reasons in their life, as opposed to angry reasons or being upset. And it's not that they didn't believe there are things we can improve. We always have those exit interviews and try to learn from that. But I think most of them are going to be volunteers for us in one way or another. But to answer the question, we're fully staffed, but I suspect that in a matter of weeks or months, we'll probably be looking to fill another position, just because that's just how it is these days.
Okay, and then just to seg into volunteer status as well, how are we doing on hosting volunteers overall for that puppy program that we have?
So as long as I will be here, whoever knows how long that's going to be, we will always be looking for more volunteers. I am absolutely convinced of that. We've actually seen a nice uptick in the last year and a half, based on a lot of different things, including some of your department's work, Karen, just getting the word out there that we are looking for volunteers, whether they're short-term volunteers or long-term volunteers. But it's a challenge, and it's going to continue to be a challenge for us. It's a challenge for every single assistance dog organization that I have talked to. I talk to my ADI colleagues frequently. ADI is Assistance Dogs International. That's kind of the umbrella group. of assistance dog organizations around the world. And honestly, without exception, I hear that it is either the greatest challenge or one of the greatest challenges for every organization. COVID, unfortunately, just changed things when it came to volunteering. And so we will always be searching for more volunteers, whether they are, 4-day volunteers would take a dog for 4 days, or they're 2-year volunteers. That is always going to be a need. But I want to finish the answer to this on a positive note. It is better than it was a year ago. And I think it will be better a year from now than it is today. So I would just, anybody listening, I would really encourage you. Some of you are already volunteers. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Please keep doing that for us. But if you know of somebody who might be interested, even just in dipping their toe in the water and taking a dog for a long weekend to see what it's like, really encourage them to give it a try, because it will continue to be our greatest need, without question.
Right. And with the holidays coming up, we know that there will be an influx of need there too, with people doing a lot of traveling. So, Elizabeth, let's come back to you with this. Someone mentions that graduates have been able to use the Humane Society for the past several years during the winter to help with exercise, but this person's not sure of what the status is because of last year there was so much canine influenza. Do you know anything about that?
So that's always been a client-led activity. That's not something that any of the staff or trainers help to organize. It is client organized. I'm not sure of the status of that this year. I know that they shut down early last year due to the canine influenza. So that's something to stay tuned about.
Okay. You do mention the trainers, and someone was asking about opportunities with the trainers for going out to coffee. There is something I think in particular that relates to that.
We have our program that we started this past year as part of our graduate services, and we call it Coffee with a Trainer. We hold them both virtually and in person. So this is a great opportunity for clients to meet up together and share community with one another. So we are meeting at the mall or at a park, or virtually. Like I said, we kind of do it a variety of ways to give a variety of opportunities for clients to get together, trainers to get together with them, have a social time during our in-person Coffee with a Trainer. So whether it's at a park or at a mall, we'll have time slots where clients can sign up for one-on-one, like walk and talk with a trainer, and address any specific questions that they have that they want to talk about with their dogs. So that's been really great. Like last month when I went out to the Milwaukee area to do some public access renewals with clients, we tried to organize that for out there, hoping to see more success with our outside of the Twin City area clients going forward too. So when we're in an area, having a mall meetup or a location meetup opportunity for them to network together.
Okay. Turning
Corinne,
back.
can I?
Yep.
I just kind of want to circle back with the exercise piece with the Humane Society. With that, we do always want to maintain a lot of caution with our clients and dogs, both health related and then safety related. So if a client ever has any questions about whether or not that particular kind of play style or play group meetup would be appropriate for their dog, they're welcome to reach out to their client services coordinator or graduate services at any time and get feedback on whether or not that's a good idea for them and their dog.
Great. Thanks for clarifying that,
thank
Elizabeth. You. Yeah. Jeff, I have one for you. You've been the executive director for a few years now. Congrats, by the way, says this person. What's been most surprising and or most joyous? And then they also want to know what's the founder and previous director, Al Peters, up to these days? Is he still involved at all? So few parts to that. Surprising joys and
Okay. A great set of questions. So most surprising is probably, and maybe most difficult, is probably trying to balance. I referred to our pillars at the beginning of this call, and trying to balance them all. So having the right number of dogs with the right number of clients, with a fully staffed staff with the right amount of money, and the right number of volunteers is proven to be very difficult. And when I started, I remember some of the board members saying, oh, it's so frustrating because all of a sudden we have too many dogs, and then we don't have enough dogs, but we have too many clients, and then we don't have enough clients, and we're short of volunteers. And I remember thinking, that's solvable. That is, it's all about process. We can figure this out. And I haven't figured it out. And nor has any other ADI, assistance dog CEO, that I've talked to. It seems to be the most constant problem of trying to balance all these pillars. And part of the issue is, a big part of the issue is, our product, for lack of a better term, is a living being. So you only have so much control over a dog. And our clients have probably more difficult lives than most people do. So they have surprises. And while all nonprofits rely on volunteers, we rely on them more than any nonprofit I've ever been a part of. And we ask more of them than most do. So all of these things are just hard to keep in balance. I think we're maybe getting a little better about that, but that's a tough one. Most joyous is easy for me. That is just hearing stories from our clients. And my guess is that most of the people here would say the same thing. When you get to hear from the mom or dad of a child with autism about how the dog has not just protected the child from running out in the street, which is one of the most basic things that we train an autism dog for, but has actually changed their kid. The child now wants to talk to people and never did before, wants to go outside and leave the home and never did before, has friends, actually has other kids who want to hang out with him or her, and they didn't before. And how that has just so fundamentally changed their family. Hearing stories like that, hearing about a dog that saved someone's life because they very well could have died from low blood sugar during the night one night, if not for that dog, that's the greatest joy. And then I will add, the hardest part of the job is walking around this building surrounded by service dogs in training and not being able to get down on the floor and cuddle with them and let them lick your face because you have to, pretend like they're not there. That's difficult. The other part of the question was about Al Peters, who was the founder and was here for 31 years, I believe. So he retired, and his wife Penny retired after both having long careers, and they moved out to Pennsylvania to be near their daughter and their new grandchild. And I still talk to Al, not as often as I did when I first started, but I think we've got a Zoom call scheduled for next week or the week after, just to get his advice, because he, if not for him, this organization wouldn't exist and wouldn't look anything like it does now. So his experience and the stories that he's able to tell and the ideas that he have been just invaluable to me. And while he's not here anymore, he's still very invested in the success of the organization. So I'm lucky that way. I'm thankful for that.
Great, thank you. I'm gonna try Julianne for this next one. It might be Elizabeth, but let's see what you got here. Can you talk about the new PAC program for our volunteers as an initiative to help retain and support volunteers?
Yeah, so one thing we're always trying to do with our volunteers is to give them enough support and make this an enjoyable experience for them, right? So a lot of our volunteers sign on not only to make a difference in someone's life in the long term, but also to kind of be a part of something. So by creating these PACs that we have created with our volunteer groups, which are kind of regional groups that we put together with a volunteer leader, so it's a volunteer-led program, We're trying to help our volunteers build this sense of community and have support, right? So for any of you out there that have had a dog that's, 10, 11, 12 months old, and they're going through that teenage phase and they're kind of a pain, having other volunteers be there to support you. A lot of our volunteers tell us they don't want to reach out to staff for the little things because they know staff is really busy. So they kind of hold in some of those small frustrations. And by having a group that you're part of and other PAC members, you can reach out to them and commiserate and talk a little bit about your frustrations, or how did you deal with these small things that maybe don't rise to the level that you want to talk to staff about. So it's really exciting. We have some wonderful volunteers that have agreed to be PAC leaders and are leading groups. So it just builds that community, and we're hoping that is really helpful for the volunteers that are involved.
Excellent, thanks. Jeff, I'll go back to you on this one. Obviously, Can Do Canines, I think we all know, is headquartered in New Hope. But is there, sorry, I'm trying to make sense of it. What can we be doing more perhaps in Wisconsin for recruiting volunteers?
Yeah, that's a great question. And that's kind of a consistent concern, is that we've got we're based here in Minnesota, and we have our second campus now also in Minnesota, and we have the vast bulk of our clients and volunteers in Minnesota, but we serve Wisconsin as well, and we have many clients there, and we have unbelievable volunteers there. We also have 3 prison partners there, but we're not there physically. So it is, I fear that sometimes our volunteers there might feel, I don't know if left out is the right word, but kind of distanced from the rest of us. And Christine, who's our volunteer coordinator, and others, we've really tried to brainstorm that. Are there things we can do to help become more of an overall cohesive unit, both states? This question, how do we recruit volunteers better there? I don't know the answer to that, but maybe the question is just a good kick in the pants for me to focus a bit more on that in the coming weeks and months, to really maybe sit down with some volunteers and brainstorm that just a little bit. What can we do realistically more in Wisconsin than what we're doing? Because it's a big part, even though it's a smaller part of our program, it's a big part of our program. And we'd actually love to expand in Wisconsin at some point. So honestly, not the greatest answer, I recognize, but I appreciate the question, because it will prompt me to maybe work a little more on that before the end of the year. And by the way, if whoever asks the question, or if there are other Wisconsin volunteers on the call, if you have ideas of things, shoot me an email. They might not all happen. They might not all be realistic, but always looking for ideas. And if there are things we can do that are realistic, we'll jump on that.
And on behalf of the marketing department too, I say the same thing. We certainly have certain goals in Wisconsin we're trying to meet, but we can always be doing more. So, Elizabeth, maybe more of a quick question for you is, how do you find out about that coffee with a trainer?
Yeah, so Coffee with a Trainer is included in our email that we send out that has the list of quarterly events that are scheduled. We post it on our graduate Facebook group as well. And it should be posted on the client portal also. So those are the 3 locations that they are that we've been posting our scheduled events, is sending them out in that email, on our graduate Facebook page, and then on our client portal. And I can say real quick, our next one is next week. I honestly am blanking on which mall it's at. It is a mall-based one, Thursday the 16th. So anyone who's on the call for graduates that wants to know can certainly shoot us an email and double check dates and or double check place and time with that. So
All right.
thanks.
Well, I am going to say we have impeccable timing because we just got through all the questions and it is 8:00. So well done, everybody, for the group effort here.
Yay.
So we will just close it up saying thank you so much for joining us. Stay tuned with all of our newsletters and emails that we have coming out for other updates. Join us at the open house, like Jeff mentioned, and those other events coming up as well. So have a great rest of your night and rest of the week, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you.